But now today at DPulse 2018, you're back. And I was wondering, opening question, always a tough one, right? What is the digital pulse in your interpretation? What would you call the digital pulse at the moment, of course, from the P&G perspective?
Look, first and foremost, delighted to be here. I mean, the same atmosphere, vibrant, so fantastic to be with you at DPulse. Overall, the pulse would start by results. Okay, so results at P&G on online sales are strong, very strong actually. Now more than $3 billion. Europe being $1 billion. Wow. Yeah, that's big numbers. 30% growth year on year. Even the start of the fiscal year already plus 40%. So I would say results speak for themselves. I mean, that's now. Is it happening by coincidence? No. No, the machine behind it are very intentional interventions. The first one definitely is about, I would say, creating open ecosystem where we're going to immerse, and we are immersing our people. The second one is to build the leader of tomorrow. And today the skills required are not anymore, I would say, in one area only. It's really about being ambidextrous. Ambidextrous meaning, you need to keep the pulse on the results today, while being very at ease on exploring and pivoting to tomorrow. And that's the name of the game. The leaders of tomorrow will be ambidextrous.
So pivoting and looking forward into the future of P&G, of course I have to question you and ask, how far along is P&G on the way of digital transformation today? Are you doing, in terms of Corp, are you doing a good job, a great job?
Here again, consumer will judge. We touch every day 5 billion consumers, so it's big. We are as good as their vote of confidence, and I would say that we are on track. I think we are on track. I talked about the numbers, so the business numbers are coming. The brands and the brands leaders have embraced the capabilities. We have now, and especially in Europe, created a digital innovation accelerator and hubs present in all our key markets in order not only to prepare, I would say, tomorrow, but to deliver business results today. How we are doing that? We are not only counting on us internally, but we partner very intentionally externally with startups. And that's my, I would say, my key area and my preferred way to keep us at the forefront, because we are actually using the best of both worlds. We have 5 billion consumer leading brands and business models, and startups have the world of possibilities and daring to experiment and to learn and to prototype with us in no time. So I think that's overall what makes the difference for the future.
It's busy and buzzy out there, like we could just hear the noise on the center stage here at the conference. And I know you're traveling a lot all over Europe. You got a huge team in terms of headcounts. But what is your source of motivation and what is really keeping you going? Because you're really so full of energy. You're doing so many things. You're such an innovative, and collaborative woman and leader. So what is it actually that drives you?
I think two things. First and foremost, my people, as you said. This is my unique source of massive inspiration. So they are making the difference for me every single day. The second thing I think is more personal. I'm definitely very curious, and because I'm curious, I'm almost all of the time in my non-comfort zone. So when you are in your discomfort zone, it forces you to find new ideas, new ways, new paths, and that's what drives me. And that's what drives me every day.
So if I would take you out of the game, no matter if you want it or not, and I would send you on a 6-month sabbatical, or let's say a 2-year sabbatical.
Wow.
What would you do in terms of not back in your core business, away from your teams, totally free in your decisions? What would you do?
I think without hesitation, I will create an academy for future leaders. I talked about ambidextrous leadership. It requires a very intentional knowledge sharing, daring to challenge boundaries, women and men equality, in digital, in tech, in science. That's what I would spend my time doing.
I know you've been involved in startups and company building teams, so I've no doubt that this academy would be mind-blowing. So probably we should take you. Yeah, definitely. I would be like number one student sitting there taking classes. No, but seriously, I'm totally convinced that would work, and that would probably be a good reason to take you out of the game, probably. But I know I've asked you before, but I'm curious if your answer changed. If I would set up a one-on-one lunch tomorrow for 2 hours, a private lunch with any person on this planet, who should that be and why?
It would be with my consumers.
It's a large table. Very large table.
Yes. I think you can start organizing, I would say, few groups, but it will be with my consumers. I would say the spectrum of my consumers, the very young and the most experienced. I think.
So now, of course, I have to ask you, tell us about your teams. How do you build your teams? Is it like this? I mean, is it very flat? Is it a very lean organization? How big are your teams in terms of headcounts?
The team size vary. My way of working, and by now, over the last few years, I've really pivoted into, I would say, lean and small teams. We take a topic, we prototype. So it happens very often that I sit with people that are just few years in the company, usually tech, and some of them will recognize themselves. And then together we tackle one problem that I have from a business standpoint. They prototype, and then very fast, in few days or few weeks, we find the solution ready to be scaled. So I have this, for example, on rating and reviews, real-time actionable data, consumer feedback across brands, across countries. It requires a bit of prototyping, now scaled and everywhere. I think that's the way I work now. I don't believe in, I would say, big hierarchical organization. I believe in substance, problem solving. I'm an advocate of agile organization and networks. I think the future will belong to people with, I would say, phenomenal networks on really with subject matter experts.
Maybe closing question. What is the core skill of tomorrow's leaders, and what is your perspective on how will that change corps and maybe even the whole economy or the industry itself?
Good question. I wish I can answer. I would say this is a $1 billion question.
Final one, has to be tough.
It has to be a good one for closing. Few things. First and foremost, I like to think about our people in the future a little bit as the Michelangelo and the Da Vinci of this world and the modern age. And when I'm using those two, I would say, artists and source of inspiration, it is because they combine for me, I would say, extraordinary mastery of mathematics, science, and art, creativity, human insights. I think this is going to be the minimum required to be successful in the future. Now, this is not enough. This is not enough. It's already a lot, but it's not enough. As I was saying a bit earlier, from a leadership standpoint, it's about being ambidextrous. And this is the name of the game. It's more complicated because you need to be integrative across discipline, inside your company, outside your company. But that's the combination of, I would say, being a master of science and art, together with the ability to deliver today and be at ease with ambiguity of tomorrow and innovation that is at stake.
Okay, so I'm sorry.
I told you it was tough.
It's like Steve Jobs, when he was on stage, there's one more thing. So, one more question. I'm sorry. I have to ask you, how do you take tough decisions? I know you have to decide a lot of things, but do you have like a secret recipe, a secret path, based on data, based on your guts, based on what a very kind of small group of people tell you to do? How do you do that?
Probably I decide. So agree, disagree, but commit. That's my motto, and I decide. I think the worst that can happen to my team if I'm not deciding.
Okay.
So that's the most important of all, is decision. Now, it's always principle based. I'm a bit of a geek, so it's always data based. And since I have a bit of experience, it will be a bit coming from my experience from the past and the last, few decades I'm in business. But I think the most important one that always brought me outstanding results and team motivation is decide.
So, folks out there watching this video, I just had my magic moment. Sophie Blum called herself a geek. I would add she's the most charming geek I know. Thanks for joining again, being here in Switzerland and on stage. We will have our eyeballs at the panel this afternoon, the female panel. All the best for you, and we will keep connected.
Thank you, and great to be with all of you at Deepulse. Phenomenal event. Thank you.